Poker gets complicated fast. Ranges, position, board texture, bet sizing, blockers, equity, fold equity, ICM. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you still have to decide whether to check, bet, call, raise, or fold. That's where a lot of beginners get overwhelmed. We start thinking about 10 different concepts at once, the dealer's staring at us, the action's on us, and eventually we say, call. So today I want to make poker decision making much simpler. We've covered these topics in previous episodes, but let's put them together in a decision-making framework. Instead of trying to remember everything, I want you to ask yourself just 5 questions before you act. 5 questions that work in cash games, 5 questions that work just as effectively in tournaments, 5 questions that will help simplify GTO concepts into something we can actually use at the table. This is 5 questions you should ask before every poker decision. Roll intro. Hi everyone, I'm Old Man Chris, and this is GTO for OMC. I'm bringing you along on my journey to simplify game theory optimal concepts for beginners, recreational players, and old man coffee players just like me. The goal is to crush cash games and run deep in tournaments. So today we're building a simple decision-making framework. Before you act, I want you to ask yourself these 5 questions. What does my range look like? What does their range look like? Who has position? Who does the board favor? And what am I trying to accomplish? That's it. If you can get in the habit of asking those 5 questions, you'll stop making so many decisions based on emotion, fear, habit, or the strength of your exact 2 cards. So let's start with question number 1. What does my range look like? The first question is not, what do I have? It's, what does my range look like? We've talked about this before, but it can't be overstated and is a huge shift for most players. Suppose you raise from early position. Your range should generally be strong. Pocket pairs, strong aces, strong Broadway hands. Now compare that with raising from the button. You can have weaker aces, more suited kings, more suited connectors, many more marginal hands. So even before the flop, your position tells your opponent something about your range. After the flop, ask, what strong hands can I credibly have here? What medium strength hands can I have? What bluffs can I have? This matters because poker is not just about the hand you're holding, it's also about the story your entire range can tell. The OMC takeaway, don't just ask what do I have, also ask what am I representing. Question number 2, what does their range look like? Now let's flip the perspective. What does your opponent's range look like? Suppose a tight player raises from under the gun. That usually means they're strong. A loose player raises from the cutoff. That range is likely much wider. Same raise, different player, different position, different range. Now imagine you raise from the button and the big blind calls. The big blind can have pocket pairs, suited connectors, suited aces, broadways, weak suited kings, a lot of hands that just want to see a flop. And honestly, if they are a loose calling station, then they could literally have almost any 2 cards. So when the flop comes 10 of spades, 8 of spades, 7 of hearts, that board may very well connect with the big blind's calling range. But if the flop comes ace of clubs, 7 of diamonds, 2 of spades, your button range should have the advantage. Before acting, ask, what hands make sense for my opponent based on the action so far? Don't try to guess one exact hand. Think in categories. Strong made hands. Did he flop a weak ace or hit 2 pair? Medium pairs. Did he call with king 7? Draws. Nothing really falls into this category, so we can dismiss it in this case. Misses. There are a lot of hands in his range that completely miss this board. The OMC takeaway? You don't need to put the villain on exactly king-queen. You need to understand the group of hands that he can possibly have. Question number 3, who has position? This question is pretty simple, but it changes everything. Who gets to act last? If you have position, you get more information. You see whether your opponent checks or bets, and you get to see the bet size they choose. That makes your decisions easier. Position allows you to bluff more effectively, control the pot, value bet more accurately, and avoid difficult spots. But when you're out of position, you have to make decisions with less information. That makes marginal hands harder to play. This is why a hand can be playable on the button, but a fold from the small blind. Same cards, different position, different decision. The OMC takeaway, if the decision is close, position should matter. Play wider in position, play tighter out of position, and stop voluntarily putting yourself in bad positions with weak hands just because they're suited. Question 4, who does the board favor? Now we get into board texture. Ask, who does this board help more? Suppose you raise pre-flop from under the gun +1 and the big blind calls. Let's look at the range chart for under the gun +1 pre-flop. We'll see that we have a pretty tight range. Premiums, pairs, suited aces, broadways. But the big blind has a wide range. He's only folding about 29% of the time and calling with almost any 2 cards. If the flop is ace of clubs, 7 of diamonds, 2 of spades, well, this is a pretty dry ace-high board. As the pre-flop raiser, we likely have more strong aces. We can have ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, pocket aces even. The big blind might have a strong ace, but you would have expected a 3-bet pre-flop if that was the case. This board favors the raiser. That may allow you to bet small with a wide range. Now change the flop to 9 of spades, 8 of spades, 7 of hearts. The big blind has many more hands that connect strongly. In all likelihood, they're going to check to us as the pre-flop raiser. We're going to c-bet 62% of the time and check 38% of the time. Why? Because it's hard for us to credibly represent that we hit this flop. Look at our range. We don't even have offsuit Jack-10 in our range, but the caller's range has more strong interaction with the board. That doesn't mean we should never bet. It means we shouldn't automatically continuation bet just because we raised pre-flop. The OMC takeaway? Ask, is this a good board for me or a good board for them? Good board for your range? Bet more. Good board for their range? Slow down. That brings us to question 5. What am I trying to accomplish? This may be the most important question of all. Before you put chips into the pot, ask, why am I doing this? If you are betting for value, what worse hands can call? If you're bluffing, what better hands can fold? If you're checking, are you pot controlling, trapping, giving up, protecting your checking range? If you're raising, are you trying to get value, create folds, deny equity? A lot of bad poker decisions happen because players take an action without a reason. They bet because I didn't want to look weak. They call because I was already in the hand, or they raised because I wanted to find out where I was. Those aren't strategic reasons. Every action should have a purpose. The OMC takeaway, before you put chips in, what do I want my opponent to do? That one question can fix a lot of mistakes. Let's walk through a hand. You're playing 1-3 cash. You raise the button to 12 with ace of spades, jack of spades. The big blind calls and the flop comes king of diamonds, 7 of clubs, 2 of spades. The big blind checks. Before you act, run through the 5 questions. Question 1, what does my range look like? You raise the button, so you have a wide range, but you also have strong kings, over pairs, and premium broadways. Question 2, what does their range look like? The big blind has a lot of weaker suited hands, pocket pairs, broadways, and hands that missed completely. Question 3, who has position? You do. That gives you more control over the hand. Question 4, who does the board favor? This dry king-high board generally favors the pre-flop raiser. And question 5, what am I trying to accomplish? If you bet small, you may fold out hands like queen-jack, queen-10, small pocket pairs, and random overcards. You're not trying to make a king fold. You're targeting weaker parts of the big blind's range, so a small c-bet may make a lot of sense. Notice what we didn't do. We didn't say, I missed, so I should bet. We used a process. That's the difference. Here's our OMC 5-question cheat sheet. Before every major poker decision, ask, 1, what does my range look like? What strong hands, medium hands, and bluffs can I represent? 2, what does their range look like? What hands make sense based on position and action so far? 3, who has position? Who is the one that gets to act last? 4, who does the board favor? Which range connects better with the flop, turn, or river? And 5, what am I trying to accomplish? Am I betting for value, bluffing, protecting, controlling the pot, trying to get called, trying to get a fold? Poker will always be complicated. There'll always be more advanced concepts to learn, but you don't need to process all of them at once. The goal is to simplify your thinking. Before you act, think about your range, think about their range, think about position, think about the board, and know what your action is trying to accomplish. You may not always make the perfect decision, but you'll stop making random ones, and that's a huge step forward. If this video helped, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Let me know what topics you'd like me to visit in the future. I'm Old Man Chris, this is GTO for OMC, and remember, stop guessing. Instead, ask better questions, and I'll see you in the next one.